Show them the bounce, Sreten.
Kmart.
Yeah. We on a big medicine ball or something?
What people don't know is about 12 dicks underneath there.
I did know that.
2020, you accept me.
Yeah.
I didn't say there was anything wrong with it.
It's super uncomfortable. All right,
It's like laying on a bed of needles, except that bed of needles is a bunch of hard dicks. I like that.
And we are live.
So freaking bad. Wrestle me.
Welcome, everybody, to Juice Pro Wrestling episode 101. 101 proof. 101 proof. With Juice himself, which is myself, and Sreten today is Bruiser Bodi. What's going on?
Hey, yo. What's going on, y'all?
What's up? And we also have a very special guest. So if you guys are out there and you listen to the JPDUB podcast, you heard this man on our latest episode 4, Gruesome Recollections, which you can check out on all podcasting platforms and at jpdub.com. If you ever listen to any underground metal and you are very familiar with the band Cryptopsy, you've heard him on albums such as And Then You'll Beg and Whisper Supremacy, and you will be hearing him on the latest album from Akurion, the debut album, I believe, Come Forth to Me, which drops this Friday, April 10th. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mike DiSalvo. Mike DiSalvo.
Yeah. Awesome. To what do I owe this pleasure?
this pleasure and this pain. Mike, glad to have you on Juice Pro, man. I had a blast with you on the JPDUB, and we were talking about your career in music, and afterwards, we kind of talked, and you back in the day were a big wrestling fan, man. So I was really stoked to get you on here because I like bringing people in to the fold, especially from the metal community. It's pretty outrageous right now. We got 3 motherfucking metal dudes right here.
Nice.
Bodi representing sexual atrocities, myself, handsome prick, and of course you with Akurion. Pretty fucking badass. All sitting down, and then Sreten with his fucking Dave Matthews Band. God damn it.
There you go.
I love Dave. Everybody, I love Dave.
Oh, God.
Did you just call him Dave Manson?
There you go. That's his new name. That's his gimmick name.
Nice.
But it is cool to have these moments. When I first started the show, we were reaching a boom time in professional wrestling again, where companies like AEW were getting ready to pop up, and Impact Wrestling and Ring of Honor, and all these different companies with awesome talent, and bringing back kind of the old school vibe of like when it was cool to fucking like wrestling. A lot of us really got into it when we were kids. Somehow I got fucked up, and I think Bodi did too. We never stopped watching it, so we stuck with it through the thick and the shit, But it's cool because now there is such a awesome time in wrestling, and I like to get people somewhat reacclimated to it, and that may or may not happen with you. I think there is definitely wrestling these days is like craft beer, man. There's something for everybody. So, you got to drink it up. Hell yeah. But let's just fucking start off. So we talked on the JPDUB. You're from the Boston area. Take us back to when a young Mike DiSalvo first witnessed and found professional wrestling, and what kind of enthralled you and what characters you were into, and just give us the whole fucking story, brother.
That's a long one. No, my mother used to watch it. I think it used to be on like a Saturday matinee kind of show. And it was the WWF, of course. And it was, Bruno Sammartino. It was Ivan Putski. It was, Larry Zbyszko. It was, Bob Backlund, right? Before he, I was trying to think about this, actually. I was thinking about Bob Backlund and who he had, because I remember seeing him win the championship. And I was trying to think if it was Billy Graham, maybe. I don't know.
I think he did. He did, because Billy took it from Bruno, I believe.
Is that what it was? Okay, so yeah, because I remember him winning it. I think, and if I recall, it was like one of these Madison Square Garden shows. It was once in a while they would have this televised. We catch it. I want to say maybe once a month they would have the shit on. And my mother was a huge wrestling fan back in the day. This is back when like Vince McMahon was just literally he was the guy. He was the announcer.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't remember him having those fucking arms like that either. Like I remember.
Oh yeah.
Just the announcer guy with some old guy, and So this was early on in my dude. I must have been, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 years old, and then it just carried on through. I used to buy the wrestling magazines. I had. I know we were talking about last time, but Wrestling Insider, and I couldn't even tell you the names of them. But
Pro Wrestling Illustrated?
Pro Wrestling Illustrated, yes, this one. And I had, I had easy 50 magazines. Whatever I'd get for cleaning the house, cleaning the dishes, any of that shit, I'd get some sort of shit bag allowance. And that's for a buck that I'd get, I'd save up and then go buy some wrestling magazines and shit. So I was really heavy into it when I was a kid. No doubt about it. We used to go to the wrestling matches at the Boston Garden. Every month they would come, and we'd go see them. It'd be my mother and myself, and then it would be, like I get to bring a friend with me, or my mother would bring a friend and her son, and so we were going on average 6 to 8 times a year, easy. Once a month they would come to the Boston Garden. A lot of crazy stories about those wrestling matches. Pretty intense. I've seen some great matches, and I've seen some real assholes wrestling that were assholes, man. Unbelievable. The stories, like you some of these guys took that bad guy image and carried it very well out of the ring.
Who's one in particular that comes to mind for you?
King Kong Bundy.
Exactly. Yes.
Asshole, man. Oh my God. This guy. And and honestly, I used to be a fan of this guy. Like, I loved the fact that he was an asshole. Actually, that was actually one of the appealing pieces to him. But after the match had happened, we used to go out and, they'd have like a couple of like bullshit matches in between before like, match with Hulk Hogan against whoever he was fighting. And so King Kong Bundy. So at the Boston Garden, the old Boston Garden, used to have this area where we come out and they would walk from the backstage and they would walk in front of, nobody would, like, there was nothing to cordon anyone off. It was just like everyone moved out of the way and they'd walk through and then go to an area where their cars were, And so you used to see everyone come through there. Some guys would stop and sign autographs. Other guys would just blow through. And King Kong Bundy walks through. And as he's walking through, people are like, hey, man, they're taking him on his back. And he's turning around. Get your fucking hands off me. You don't fucking touch me. And all this kind of shit, right? So there's a kid next to me. And he goes, all right, man, I love you, King Kong Bundy. He turns around, he looks at him, and he says, square fucking tip. This kid was like, I don't know, maybe 14 years old, 13, 12, whatever he was. And he looks at him, he says, you fucking asshole. He calls the kid, right? So I was like, oh my God, like, holy shit, like, this is a guy that I really loved. And now he's just called this kid an asshole. He goes up a little further, and some little kid, and this kid was like, I don't know, I want to say 8 to 10 years old, young. And he comes up and he hits him on the arm. He's like, King Kong Bundy, I love you, man. And he turns around and he fucking spits in the kid's face. I shit you not. No exaggeration, no bullshit. He spits in his face. The father fucking jumps on him, jumps on this fucking 450-pound guy. And he just fucking flops him off like a and then everyone comes in and they shuffle him along, get him out of there. I was just like, I just remember looking at my mother and being like, wow, like I hate this guy now. Like, I'm done.
No shit.
And that's a true story. That was probably the worst of the pile of shit that I saw walking through there. Most of the time, honestly, almost all the guys were cool. A couple times I saw Demolition walk through there and they weren't too friendly. Hulk Hogan was not friendly. I don't know. I've seen Hulk Hogan. Actually, one of the times we were sitting there, we were watching Hulk Hogan in the back. They used to have these drapes that will cover the doorway, and these two like hookers basically came walking in. They allowed these two hookers in, and then everyone's like, "Look, where are they going?" And he said. And Hulk Hogan, exactly. few chicks. He's like hanging out with them, like too funny.
That's great, man. I've heard a lot of stories about Bundy back in the day. I think from like Jimmy Hart and other guys about he did get a lot of heat. There were people like trying to fucking stab him and shoot him and shit. Like a lot of those dudes that really played the role of the heel back in the day. Another guy like that, who is a very imposing and intimidating and albeit well-respected figure, and we were just talking about him earlier, and he's no longer with us. Is Bruiser Bodi? I mean, what a fucking polarizing figure. I mean, you either liked him or you fucking hated him. And you hated him because you didn't like just hate him. You hate him because you were fucking scared of him. Like
he's a big bastard, man.
Did you ever see him wrestle back in the day?
I think so. I'm pretty sure I have seen him wrestle at some point. Yeah, because I remember how big this guy is for sure. Like he was a fucking giant. I remember he's real tall, real big boy. Trying to think of who else. Another guy that wasn't very kind was Bam Bam Bigelow.
The beast from the east, Asbury Park, man. Come on.
He is. He's a Jersey boy, huh?
Yeah. Anybody got some cocaine?
Yeah.
That's right. I shouldn't have did that.
Yeah, he wasn't too kind either. But I loved that shit. I mean, that was a highlight. Was like not even going to watch the wrestling matches just to see which guy was going to be a nice guy, which guy was going to be a dick walking out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's cool when you meet these guys. It's so weird because I never had a chance to do that when I was younger, to really meet them, and now that I started doing this show and getting involved with everybody, you get to meet and talk to the guys now. And I would say 99% of them are accessible and they're cool. Whereas back in the day, it was like, dude, it was like a badge of honor, or like a club you had to get in. You had to be like one of the boys or really close with somebody. You couldn't just be some fucking jabron and walk up like, hey, can I come hang out? It was like, get the fuck out of here. Like you said, with Bundy. Whereas nowadays it's, I've been in locker rooms and stuff, and it's, I'll admit, like the first time I ever went to one, this is the first time I've ever said this. I didn't ever think I even told Sreten this. It was intimidating, and not because, whatever, I've been in scraps. If someone was going to do something, fuck it, but it was weird because all the stories I've heard about it being a tight-knit like community, and like you had to be, like I said, you had to be somebody to fucking be in there, and so like the first time I ever went to one, I was just in there, and I think I was just more frightened just to be in the locker room because it's something I've never done, it was fucking weird. And here I am looking at guys that I used to watch wrestle as a kid, and along with some of the current crop of superstars that are awesome, and it was just this weird feeling that came over me, man. Like, wow, this is fucking awesome. But I hope I don't.
Were they all welcoming?
They were very welcoming, and I was more me putting the weight on my shoulders. Like, man, I hope I don't fuck this up or say the wrong thing, like because it like I said, it's like that fucking brotherhood, that clique, man. And I still think, even in today's wrestling climate, like it maybe it is like that in some locker rooms. I don't know. I've yet to be in one that is really just like, hey, where people like get the fuck out of here, especially where we go to a lot of shows in the Chicago scene. And if we get backstage with a lot of these promotions, they're very welcoming, and a lot of these guys we know and we've had on the show, and it's just like, hey, Juice, what's going on? It's cool, it's fucking cool, but it's like the young wrestling fan of me is like going in there and just like.
Just marking out.
Yeah, marking out, like trying to be cool.
Well, if you're back there, you're back there for a reason, like just no jabroni is gonna walk back there. They'll know a jabroni from a real dude. So
yeah,
if you just wander back there, you're not supposed to be back there. Someone will say something, but like promoter brings you back there, like Steve from Warrior brings you back there. All the boys will be like, oh yeah, these dudes are cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we're not fucking.
Yeah. You're around it enough to know.
Yeah, and we're helping promote these guys and do a lot of that shit. Like being a part of it, and that's what's been really cool about this show is to get that opportunity to do that because, as both of you guys know, it's throughout playing all over with the bands and shit. And you know how tight the metal community is, and when you get your bros, man, they're your diehards. They're with you till the end. At least the good ones. And it's becoming the same thing with professional wrestling in a lot of these locker rooms and with these promoters, man. Like just some really solid motherfuckers, man. Some really good people.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I've been
definitely.
really liking that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, definitely with the music too. Mike, I'm sure you know this too, and going through and playing shows all over the place. It is tight brotherhood.
Absolutely.
Just even with the fans and promoters, the bands themselves, it's like a family. And like all those huge fests like that we all play at, it's like a huge family gathering. So
Yeah.
it really correlates to the wrestling world pretty well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you there for the especially the big festivals when everyone's out, out in the back of the stage and everyone's drinking and the camaraderie level is just through the roof.
Yeah.
Really cool. Met a lot of fucking cool people that way. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a lot of
definitely.
fun. But I like in that. I bet I bet it's the same way. Like you were saying when you walk in, Justin, when you were saying you walk into the backstage with these guys. I bet it's the same way for these kids who come in to a show, and if they actually get to come backstage and hang out, I bet they're like, I better not fuck this up. Or,
Oh yeah, and there's still
You know?
times like that when say I'm with. I'll give you a perfect example when we played with Doyle, which actually today, I think it was like 3 years ago today. It was Doyle from the Misfits. It was weird. Like I walked in beforehand and he's just fucking pumping iron. And I'm like, man, this is fucking, I don't want to be a mark, but I am a mark. I'm like, dude, it's fucking Doyle. You would, I just wanted to play it cool. So I sucked it up, went up to him and said, hey man, I caught you guys, OG Misfits, in Chicago. Like, thanks for coming out and doing that shit, man. And he's like, oh, hey, no problem. Thanks for coming out. And then that was it, But then again, I'm like walking off and kind of being a mark, like trying to get screenshots of them fucking lifting and shit. But I try not to be that guy, and not that there's anything wrong with it, because everybody's got their false idols that they love.
And everyone should be approachable. And let's face it, it's fucking metal, man. If you're not approachable in metal, then who the fuck do you think you are? Honestly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You absolutely have to be an approachable guy. And I've met some wonderful people, and I have met some people who have been less approachable. And I always question. I'm like, really, what climbed up your ass to not make you accessible to whoever the fuck wants to come up and talk to you. Humility goes a long way, and especially in metal, you have to have it. If you don't have it, you don't deserve to be there.
And it's the same way in the wrestling business, man. I mean, you're some fucking guy who thinks he's the shit because you got, let's say, one decent booking in the area, and then you get booked somewhere else in the same area, and then you're in the locker room and you're just acting like I work so and so and blah blah blah, and just like no humbleness, like just a piece of shit. Good luck getting a fucking job, getting booked again.
Right.
And there's been guys like that. Like there's no need for it, because like you said, humility goes a long way, dude, and that's how you network with people. That's how you gain more attention. That's why fans want to buy your fucking merchandise. Like if you're accessible, I mean that's amazing, and in this day and age where everybody really is so readily accessible, it's fucking awesome. And for people like us that do the music and and the wrestlers and everything, it's the ability to fucking print money, man. Just be a good fucking dude or good girl. Be a good guy now. And and you can fucking sell your shit, man. Just be real,
Totally
Yeah,
agree.
Yep. It's like with bands too. Like we play shows or fests. We're always by our merch table. We're not like hiding out somewhere.
No.
Personally, I want to meet all these fans that buy our stuff, that support us, because without them, we would be nothing.
Absolutely.
And where I came from, I was a fan first, and I play music that I love, that I grew up listening to and everything like that. And of course I want to make myself accessible. I don't want to be a prick to these people, They pay good money, good hard-earned money to support our, what we do and play music and support our art, buying our music, buying our, merch, anything like that. So yeah, I'll take pics all day. I don't care. I'll buy them a beer. I don't even give a shit. I'll give them one of my beers that I have in my cooler. It's like that, and I do that with anybody except for Chuck.
And they will always remember that too. You get somebody who actually sit, that you take the time and sit and chat with them. You take the time, do photos, buy a fucking drink for them, have a drink, have your arm around and fucking take a picture. Like they will remember that shit to the day they die. And hey man, that's part of it. And if you can't be, if you can't take that seriously, then you're in the wrong business.
Exactly.
That's fucking right. Mike, let me ask you this. So you kind of got into like, what were back in the day, like, so you were more of a heel guy, or like what they call the baby faces back then? Who was your favorite out of those groups as a kid?
I definitely like the bad guys for sure. When they switched over to the good guy, I was like, why? You were way better than that. But that I can't say it's an exclusivity for that, because there were guys that I did like that were Hulk Hogan when he was a good guy, I liked him. I liked him when he was a bad guy. How do you not like the Hulk? I mean, come on, man.
Right.
There was plenty of guys like good guys. Well, Roddy Piper is a good example. When he was a good guy, he was a bad guy. Like, he was in the between. He was, how do you not like him in any phase that he was?
Mm-hmm.
But I think of there's some bad guys that I wasn't hot on. Like, I remember when I think we were talking about this, Justin, about when Bruno Sammartino got Larry Zbyszko had beaten with the chair and split the fucking guy's face open like wide, dude. I remember blood. It was a bloodbath. And I remember saying, you know what? Larry Zbyszko is a piece of shit. Like, he was a guy, but it's what that's the role, right? That's what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
But years later, I didn't like him. I didn't like him when he was Adonis, whatever his name was. I forget. Beautiful Adonis or whatever he was.
Who? Zbyszko?
Oh, no, sorry. I'm thinking of Adrian Adonis. Sorry.
Adorable Adrian Adonis.
Yeah. Well, I didn't like him when he was a bad guy in his leather gear either.
Yeah.
He was bad either. He's one of the bad guys I wasn't hot on either.
Yeah.
Larry Zbyszko was always one of those guys that he played the role of the bad guy early on very well. Like, he was hated. And anyone in my circle, anyone that I had friends that were into him, we all hated Larry Zbyszko. But then there was guys I like Sergeant Slaughter. I appreciate a guy that'll split his face open all the time, constantly. Abdul the Butcher. Man, how many times that guy rips his face open? Awesome. Love it.
He's looking for that juice.
Right? You put a quarter onto his forehead.
Yeah, his fucking head was like you could grate cheese on his fucking head.
Remember when he got? I don't know if you remember this. If you were watching, then Mike, this might have still been like early '90s. I want to say WCW. It was like the Chamber of Horrors match or some shit. I think he got electrocuted. They had a fucking chair, an electric chair in the middle of the ring, and they hooked Abdullah up to it, and his big ass is like,
blood streaming down his face.
Oh yeah, perfect. I appreciate the shit out of that. George Animal Steel, these guys were. This is like legendary stuff. Like, guys who bleed like a motherfucker. Dusty Rhodes. How many times that guy?
Let me tell you something about the American Dream.
You can
son of a plumber.
You can hit that dude with a pillow and he'd be busted open.
I know, right?
That dude bled for days, man.
Oh,
he
my
did
God.
Great, though.
Flair too.
He was a walking bloodbath.
Yeah. Flair too. Yep.
All those guys back in the day, though, and that's what was so great about, like, I used to have a lot of those old magazines too, Mike, like old PWIs and The Wrestler and stuff. And man, I wish I still had them as well. I love flipping through those pages, dude. And, like, all these dudes are big fucking hairy ass 80s motherfuckers.
Oh yeah,
they're just covered in blood, dude. Like,
totally.
every other page was just a bloodbath, dude. I love that old school shit, like that brutal ass shit.
Yeah, it was nasty as hell. And I used to actually, in fact, I would look for the magazine, because back then, we named 2 or 3 of them, but it was like a good 10, 12 different wrestling magazines.
Right.
And I would look through and find the ones that had the most blood.
There you go.
That was the one I was buying.
As a kid, I would always look through the one that would be the first. First, I'd look through Fangoria, and then I would find the bloodiest wrestling magazine.
Yeah, the old school Fangorias were the best. They don't make those like they used to, man.
No, matter of fact, Fangoria, I believe, just came back, and I don't know if it's actual physical publication. I know you can get it digitally, like they brought back the website and shit. And I just found this out like a year ago. I didn't know they went under like a few years back. Like,
I didn't either.
Yeah, they weren't doing shit for a while, but you had magazines like Horror Hound and there's some other. There's like a million publications now that or copycat or whatever, you know. But
Gord, I think, was one too. I don't know if that's still around, but I thought there was one called Gord.
probably,
G-O-R-D or something.
yeah.
It wasn't that popular, I don't think, but I thought I saw it or something like that.
Well, see, and then, Fangoria started to get a little stale, like towards the end. But I think the biggest thing with their downfall was, dude, it went from being like a $5 fucking magazine to like 12 or 13.
Yeah.
Like Guitar Worlds and shit did. It's like, what the fuck? And then pretty soon it's like $15. Like, I'm not paying $15 for this shit. You know, I got the fucking internet.
Exactly. Yeah, use that. Use the internet.
Yeah. Boom, shakalaka.
You see anything up?
So, Mike, what's one of the most brutal matches you ever seen live when you were going back in the day?
Ooh.
I'm sure there was plenty out. You know, that East Coast hardcore back in the day.
You know, I don't remember. I know there was some fights that I had seen. I do remember Snuka going at it with someone and his face being ripped open. And I don't remember if it was Greg the Hammer Valentine after that shit had taken place. But he got split open again. I remember that. I remember both of them, whoever he was fighting, and I think it was Greg the Hammer Valentine. And I think that they both the two of them were split open. I remember one of the Snuka got fucked up, if I remember correctly. Because he won. He always used to do the fucking flying thing, but he did it over the exactly.
Super fly.
But he did it over the ropes at I think it was Greg the Hammer. And whenever he hit him, they both fell down. But I remember him hitting like the metal grid that was like keeping the stanchions people away. Yeah. And he came up and he was fucking bleeding all over the place. Like I remember that. That one's one that sticks in my mind as being a bloody one. Most of the bloody ones I remember are the ones like Pat Patterson getting Sergeant Slaughter ripping him to shreds.
Hell yeah!
One of the times that he just, oh my god, man, he was like a pool of blood walking around in the. Yeah, live I don't. Actually, you know what? Funny enough, I'll tell you one that I remember wasn't even a wrestling match. It was at the old Boston Garden. It's one of those auditorium places that was right up on top, you know, like it was, you know how like the new stadiums they're really set back.
Yeah.
This one, you know, this was one of the old school ones, old, you know,
like Comiskey kind of.
Right on, like the Forum, like any of these places, right? And so, but there was nothing to stop anyone if you fell off the top.
Right.
Yeah. You fell off, you were down, and we saw somebody in front of us, off to the side, fall from the fucking top and land on people. They didn't even know it was coming.
Holy shit!
They pulled like 6-7 people out on fucking stretches, fucking nowhere. Yeah, so that I remember being gory as fuck. A couple times things fell. One time we were sitting there, and one of my mother's friends had a rat or a mouse or I don't know what it was, but it was some kind of vermin. Fell from the thing and landed in her hair. It was like there was all sorts of entertainment outside of just the wrestling. Weirdos. You'd see guys fighting outside. There's probably more of a bloodbath there than actual wrestle matches. But
dude, I heard stories of like the old Comiskey Park where the White Sox used to play.
Yes.
Like Flair and those guys, Road Warriors, the NWA would come and do shows there all the time, man. And I heard like stories of and that was like you said, because I remember going there as a kid and it just being so fucking steep. Like it was like, oh shit, you just kind of stand up and you didn't want to look over because it's like, god damn, dude, you're gonna fucking fall. And I mean, the horror stories I heard about people fucking chucking shit and just pissing out like from the stands, like pissing on people and throwing cups of piss and the fights in the fucking parking lot and shit. I'm like,
very much so.
Yeah.
Fucking brutality.
They'd be waiting for you out there.
So you pay for tickets to go see the wrestling match, and everything else around it was almost as good, if not better.
Yeah.
Fuck out the fucking fans! Fuck out! It's funny, Mike, because I remember when we were talking before, you tell me Snuka was actually one of your big guys that you really got into, right?
I loved him. Yeah, I was a huge fan of Snuka. Absolutely. Him and Pedro Morales. Actually.
Oh, nice. I think
those
Pedro
guys were my favorite. What's that?
I think Pedro just passed not too long ago.
I think so too. I think I heard that as well. Yeah.
Well, actually, both of them. Snuka was facing a murder trial for the death of his girlfriend.
Crazy.
And I don't know if you've seen this or if you get the Vice channel. I think it's Vice Land?
Yeah, Vice.
Vice.
They do a show. It's basically like a wrestling meets true crime. It's called Dark Side of the Ring. Really great show, dude. They go second season. They just did a story on Chris Benoit, New Jack. The first season they had a great episode on Bruiser Brody, the Von Erichs. But they're doing one this season on fucking Jimmy Snuka and that whole deal. Like his girlfriend fucking she died somehow and everybody thinks it was him. And back in the day, like nobody ever did shit. Like it was just kind of like, okay, this happened. I don't know if it was like a WWE cover up or whatever. I'm really looking forward to tuning in to that show to find out what happened. But it was enough for the authorities to reopen the case. And, at this time, we're talking a couple of years ago, Snuka was old as fucking dirt, had one foot in the grave basically. And, man, dude, and he ended up dying. So they never proceeded, with the trial or anything. But it's a fucked up story, and he was another guy that, dude, all those guys back in the day, for the most part, if anybody had a crazy build like a Hercules Hernandez, they were all juiced to the gills. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just stating the fucking obvious. And Snuka was one of them because Snuka was awesome because of his aerial assault. And, you got guys like Mick Foley, a.k.a. Cactus Jack, Mankind Dude Love, who was at Madison Square Garden, seeing Snuka go off the top on the cage, which in turn inspired him, another, pro wrestling Hall of Famer. But his body, dude, it was that, but you were also impressed by the build of these guys. They're larger than life, like action heroes or comic book guys, whatever. And Snuka was always shredded, dude. That dude was always fucking jacked, man.
Big time.
Remember,
didn't he have some other cases of like domestic abuse or something too? Like his whole career, I thought there was some shit that was going on.
Yeah, that's what kind of started that, sparked rumors of him killing his girlfriend, is because history of domestic abuse and stuff. And I thought that she was reported or she was missing for a couple of days, and then it was reported by him or something. It was really strange circumstances surrounding that. Yeah.
Jesus. You mentioned the Von Erichs. Didn't Kerry Von Erich? Didn't he shoot himself or something? Suicide, wasn't he?
Kerry, I think David.
David did.
Oh, David too?
Well, I don't think David killed himself intentionally. He was in Japan and he had taken some drugs and was drinking. Right. So I think it was an unintentional overdose. But it sparked a fucking dude. That's like the most tragic story in professional wrestling is the Von Erichs. There's like 4 brothers that are fucking dead. And it's other than David, which like I said, I can't confirm to you guys that was intentional suicide. They all committed suicide.
Jesus Christ. Michael, was there a Michael too? Michael Von Erich?
I think, really young one. I think he blew his brains out and
Jesus. Wow.
It's real fucking sad, man. The only one that's left is Kevin.
Wow.
Kevin, and he's got his 2 boys too, and they're wrestling in MLW right now.
Right.
Yeah. And they're awesome, man. They look really good. What are their names again? Is it
Ross and Marshall? Thank
you, Ross and Marshall. Yeah. And I think
I remember the Von Erichs were fucking, they kicked ass, man.
Dude, I'll tell you this though, because as badass as the fucking Von Erichs were, who I'm gonna quiz you real quick, Mike. Who the fuck was their antagonists that were even more badass? And this is a little hint I'll give to Sreten and Bodi. It used to be the intro to our podcast.
Yeah. I want to say, the Freebird, so Michael Hayes.
Yeah, there it is. So simple.
And but there was another one too. Was it Jimmy Garvin or something?
Jimmy Garvin with Precious. Jimmy Garvin and yeah.
He was. I seem to remember him being with them too, or something. They were all pretty.
He became a free bird. Yeah.
Oh, he did. Huh? Yeah. Okay. I thought so.
Bam Bam Terry Gordy, dude.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Yeah, you want to kick it back to the old school? Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Let's go down to fucking Texas. I know Sreten fucking loves it. Let's get hot. Let's get bloody. Let's get juiced.
My mother and father used to go when they were young. They used to go like my father was in the Air Force when I was like 1 or 2 years old, and so we did the whole circuit down south. And they I don't know, we were in New Mexico for a while or something. So they used to go to the matches. And they used to see that. My mother used to tell me, Terry Funk, you got to remember, Terry Funk was great back in the day. He was crazy. This guy would do anything. And then, of course, he made it, I'd see him in the magazines and stuff. I never got to see him wrestle until he got to the WWF. Was actually the first time that I remember seeing him anyways. But yeah, my mother used to talk about him being an absolute bloodbath at these wrestling matches too. This guy would take a fucking beating.
Oh yeah, Terry's great, man. He's a living legend, and it's cool because, like for me and Sreten, Terry, I mean, his family is from Hammond, Indiana, which is like 15 minutes away, and they packed up, and moved down to fucking Texas, and it's just cool. There's actually a lot in Indiana. I've said this before. We got quite a few legends that have come from the state, and it's weird because usually you think Indiana is like fucking Michael Jackson or fucking Larry Rose or some shit, but Ultimate Warrior, Mankind, Dick the Bruiser. There's a laundry list of guys, man, that had a lot of success in the world of professional wrestling. But when I was bringing up the Freebirds, dude, I fucking, and to this day, I fucking love it. I can't get Michael P.S. Hayes' fucking strut out of my head, dude. That big, he's all hairy as fuck, dude. Looks like somebody's fucking dad. He's getting up there like doing that strut, It's the fucking Bad Street USA.
As long as the hair on his head. Fuck.
Yeah, dude. That album, I fucking have the 7-inch single, dude. I bought it. I had to. I love Bad Street USA is my jam, dude.
Yeah, man. He's fucking sang. I remember that. Wow.
Yeah, they put out a DVD about 5-6 years ago. Like it was like a behind the music on that. Yeah. And it had him involved. I got that. It's back on Bad Street, dude. And it was like I was fucking freaking out, dude, because Michael P.S. Hayes, dude, he was the shit. And I wish he would have had more. Kind of when he ended up joining WWF, he was kind of winding down,
Yeah.
But dude, you can't top like that fucking Freebird Von Erich feud and all that shit, man. Those were some really fucking good times. And like in today's wrestling, there's some really good feuds and stuff going on. Like I said, today's athlete in the world of professional wrestling there's no one better as far as professional sports or entertainment goes, because these guys are fucking doing, and it's not just like the blood or like the weapons, just death-defying shit. Like this guy's doing a fucking 436-degree spin in midair outside of the fucking ring through some tables or barbed wire, or even if it's just on some other guys. Like today's professional wrestler is like the highest level caliber of athlete you can fucking ever see, and that's what I think has really brought wrestling kind of back into the spotlight with a lot of disenchanted fans,
Well, because I remember back in the day, it used to only be guys like Tiger Mask.
Tiger Mask. Yep. Yeah, nowadays, I mean, it catered more. You're exactly right, man. It used to be like Vince McMahon's, fuck these vanilla midgets. Who the fuck are they? Who the fuck are they? They're fired. Your Hogans, your Bundys, your big guys, but nowadays it's like your Daniel Bryans, your Seth Rollins, your Kenny Omegas, Young Bucks, in Dusty's son, Cody Rhodes, who isn't he's not one of the more showy of caliber of wrestlers, but I mean, his ability to storytell, to put shit together just like his father, because Dusty was so creative as far as these gimmick matches and like storytelling throughout the NWA and WCW and into WWE and WWF. And Cody's much the same way. He does have a slight aerial arsenal, but just a great in-ring storyteller and outside the ring. Like that's what's really cool. Is I'm a big fan of like wrestling families, Same thing like in music. We were talking, I think on JPDUB, we kind of briefly tapped into like Zappa. You know, and I really got a deep appreciation for what Dweezil does for Frank's music, you know, and there's nobody else I really think that could do it and do it justice like he does. And I feel the same way about like Cody and Dusty, and you know, you got the Hart family, the Guerrero family. I mean, we could sit here and talk all day about fucking Eddie and Chavo, but what about Gory and Mondo, you know, and Chavo Classic, you know, like all pioneers, dude, and just these families, dude, the Anawahi family, where The Rock came from, you know, and his dad, Rocky Johnson, his grandfather, High Chief Peter Maivia, High Priest.
High Priest.
Disturbing the priest.
Who was his grandfather?
High Chief Peter Maivia. You know him. I'm sure you can.
Wow. Okay. I didn't really put that together. Okay.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And he's related to a lot of those Samoans, dude. He's,
the Usos are part of that family, too.
Usos, Yokozuna.
Nia Jax. Yeah, Yokozuna. And then with the
Wild
hybrid,
Samoans.
Yeah, the hybrid caliber athlete, the athleticism. That just goes to show, like, back in the day, how ahead of his time that the Dynamite Kid really was.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, he just ushered in you see a lot of him in a lot of today's athletes and a lot of today's wrestlers, just how they move in the ring, the psychology, and just how athletic they are. They're insane.
Yeah. For smaller guys. I mean,
for smaller guys.
We saw the dark side of the ring on Benoit, and they pointed that out, and like Harley Race was telling another great classic. Harley Race, the king, man. He was the shit. He pointed out to, I think he told Dynamite, they were saying that dark side of the ring, like, don't do the headbutt, it'll fuck you up, you know, and then Dynamite does the headbutt his whole career, ends up fucking in a wheelchair, you know. I mean, but he was juicing too, but the head trauma, and then obviously Dynamite tells Benoit that, and Benoit does it, and then loses his fucking mind, you know, it's crazy, man, but these were these smaller guys, that's what it took for them to get fucking over, you know?
Yeah.
What about guys like the Moondogs? Whatever happened to them?
Oh, yeah, the Moondogs. Holy shit.
Wow.
You're throwing some fucking
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Dude, I remember Lou Albano spitting on their bones and then licking it up.
Lou Albano is the man.
Dude, I miss the captain, dude. I remember as a kid, I loved him as a professional wrestling manager. And then once the Rock and Wrestling Connection got going in the 80s, you know, he's in the Cyndi Lauper videos. Then he's doing he's fucking Mario, you know, shit. You know, from side to side. Come on and do the Mario. Captain Lou was a character, dude. It's very hard to find good managers like in today's wrestling. And some companies are trying to bring them back. But the actual and there are a few, like Paul Heyman with Brock Lesnar, is by far the best thing going in today. And you have AEW, All Elite Wrestling, which is trying to establish more managers. Like Cody Rhodes is managed by Arn Anderson. You got Sean Spears managed by Tully Blanchard. So they're bringing that back, and those are good characters, but they've had to settle into that role because their age, you know, and they're not wrestling anymore. I'm talking about people who back in the day when you had your Mr. Fuji's, you had Slick. Slick, the Reverend Slick. He smoked a crack rock and then come out. Classy, a pencil neck geeks. I'm glad you brought that up. Dude, there's this fucking movie with Freddie Blassie, and it's the last movie that Andy Kaufman did. It's My Breakfast with Blassie. Excuse me. It's on, there's this thing called Tubi. It's Tubi. You can download it. It's like free. It's like Netflix. It's on there. It's fucking great, dude. Seeing Freddie Blassie and Andy Kaufman sit and have this dinner, and dude, Andy Kaufman had this penchant for making you uncomfortable, kind of, you know, where you didn't know what if it was a work or if it wasn't, you know, and that's exactly how this breakfast went. It's fucking insane, dude. Like Freddie Blassie's like not wanting to shake people's hands. He's like talking shit, trying to eat my breakfast, you know, fucking pencil neck geek.
They had the Wizard too. I forget what it was.
Yep. Yeah, oh, man. Bobby Heenan, though, for me, is, man, dude, he's got to go down as the best. And he's another, I think he's another guy he's like Chicago area native. He was just, man, the guy was so quick-witted, and it didn't matter what role you put him in because he wrestled for a little bit, too. And then, you know, as a manager, he would spend some time taking some bumps and, you know, putting on the Weasel fucking outfit and all that shit. But goddamn, dude, there was nobody better. I remember like back in the day, in mid 90s, they like John Madden had these like awards for sports managers, and Bobby would always bring out this plaque. He's like, oh, I won this like 3 or 4 years in a row or whatever. You know, John Madden thinks I'm the best fucking manager in all of sports. And like, he was just, dude, his wit was so quick. Like him and Gorilla Monsoon, when he eased in the commentary as a color commentator, that was like some of the best shit. Like that's my childhood right there. The voice of my childhood, you know? Bobby was so fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was spot on. So one-liners just galore. I feel like he had an encyclopedia of one-liners that he had to use.
Oh, dude, he did.
Dude,
it was so great. He reminded me of like the wrestling Leslie Nielsen or something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then he would bump all over the place too, man. He'd take a good bump, you know.
Yeah.
Just people couldn't wait. People paid to come and see him get his ass kicked. So even though he was a heel, he would talk you into the door just to see you get someone get his hands on him just to beat the piss out of him.
Yeah, right. Dude, but he managed. Look at the Heenan family. He managed Andre, Mr. Perfect, fucking
Bundy,
Ravishing Rick Rude, Bundy, dude. The list goes on and on and on. Haku, yeah, Haku's legit, man, motherfucker. Like you hear all these stories about he bit someone's nose off in a bar, dude.
Yeah. Oh my God, Haku was the toughest son of a bitch ever. Yeah. Everyone says that too about Haku. Like he toughest son of a bitch ever to live. Like he was a legitimate tough guy, like mean as hell.
Crazy.
So speaking of legitimacy, Mike, let me ask you this: when did and we don't drop the F-bomb out of respect for the boys in the business, but when did you kind of learn? And there's also another term in wrestling that's kayfabe. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but basically like staying in character, like say like your Bundy staying in heel, that's kayfabe, right? When did you become aware? Because there's a little bit, not much difference between us as far as age, but I mean, obviously you were watching a little bit more earlier than I was. When did you kind of get a hint, or was there people kind of throwing shit at you? Because I've always said that, like, I feel like my generation was the last to really, truly believe what was going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What was that like for you as a fan? And when did you kind of like become aware of what was going on?
In terms of the supposed fakeness of it,
you're fucking dropping. Yeah. I tell him we don't drop the F-bombs, and he does it.
No, sorry. Yeah, that F-bomb. I was waiting for some fucking come out of this. Yeah. Okay, let's rewind that shit. Honestly, it took a long time. I mean, I thought, for years it was, but I mean, in all reality, like when you had Geraldo Rivera do that show, and then I think it was Greg the Hammer that fucking smashed it. No, it was Schultz, Dave
Dr.
Schultz?
Dave,
Dr. Schultz, yeah, and he fucking slapped the shit out of him and busted up his eardrum and stuff like that. Yeah. So, but I mean, there's a lot to be said about. Okay, so if you're going the F-bomb route, of that. But these guys are still fucking athletes. So no matter what, at the end of the day, even if they might be talking to each other, I'm going to throw you up against this, all right, telling each other where we're going with it. Mm-hmm. Still, these guys are the ones fucking being tossed around and fucking jumping and fighting, wrestling. Like, they're out there for fucking I remember some of those matches being an hour long, man. Like, they'd have an hour long match. So who's to say? I mean, could I go out there for fucking 10 minutes, man, and still be breathing?
Me neither, bro. I couldn't do it for fucking 2 minutes.
So, I mean, it's fine. It's entertainment. Okay, it's entertainment. But I'll be damned if I would go as far as to say that it's outright bullshit, because these guys are fucking athletes, man. And I think anyone that minimizes it is a fool, But I think in terms of, I remember seeing, I distinctly remember seeing guys talking to each other, like they covered up a bit, and you could see them talking to each other.
That's why I always thought they had long hair, because the hair covers you up and it makes it easier.
That's a good.
Dude, most fucking 99% of wrestlers have fucking long hair, dude.
Yeah.
especially back in the day, you know.
That's true. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it could very well be. And then I used to think also when the guys would go, they'd go under the mats and they'd have some shit under there. They cut themselves up. They come out from the other side and they're fucking bleeding and, shit like that. I mean, but I mean, it is entertainment. Call it what it is. But at the end of the day, you can't take the athlete away from these people. No. I mean, they fucking train their asses off. And I think it's a foolish comment to say outright that it's total bullshit. I don't buy at all. Storylines aside, it's real. These guys are really doing it.
Yeah, I mean it's stunts being performed live. Right. I mean and you've seen a lot of this crazy shit that's happened. I mean, fuck, especially back when you were going, you talk about these hour-long Broadways, dude, and these bloodbaths. I mean, go ahead, talk shit to some of these dudes, and see what happens. But it's good to hear, like, from you and another opinion that, so you knew what it was, but it didn't seem like it really affected you as far as enjoying the product or anything like that?
No, I just grew out of it over time. Is really what happened,
When would you say
my brother started watching it? And my brother's 10 years younger than me. When he started watching it, so let's say he was, by the time I was, I don't know, 18, 19, somewhere in that range, maybe. Yeah, somewhere probably in that range. I stopped watching it after the big WrestleManias. Probably after like the last thing I really, really remember. Like that I watched was Hulk Hogan against Andre, and I don't remember when that was.
Oh wow! So that was a long time ago. I mean, we're talking the 80s.
That was probably in the 80s. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the 80s. Yeah, because 80. So 89, I would have been 18. So it was around then that I kind of pulled away from it. But I think I pulled away mostly because I was out, drinking and trying to find chicks and I didn't need to see fucking macho men fucking running around on us anymore.
Don't tell me you're talking some shit now. Yeah. Where's the snake?
See, I like Macho Man actually.
Macho Man's great.
But my brother was watching it, like Guerrero and all those guys. Like, I mean, I remember all that. I can't say I was watching it, but I definitely had seen enough to see, Triple X and any of those guys. I mean, that whole crew right there. I was out of it by then, and I mean, I was out of it, but I, my brother was watching it, so I mean, of course, I'd catch it and stuff.
Yeah. Did you ever catch any? You ever catch any ECW?
Yeah,
I think you, with all the blood and shit, the blood and guts that you've seen, I think that's a promotion that you really could have got into. And it's so cool too, because like I always talk about these parallels with, metal and pro wrestling. A guy by the name of Jerry Lynn was a wrestler for ECW. And I remember, dude, he'd come out wearing Dying Fetus shirts and shit.
Oh, shit. Okay.
A fucking metal dude. And you want to talk blood and fucking guts? Dude, it don't get more blood and guts than fucking ECW. Terry Funk wrestled for him. There was a lot of guys, dude.
Okay.
Barbed wire rope matches and shit. Fucking explosives, dude. Yeah. Man, dude, that's why I gave you my login for the network, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. You got to get on there and look up some ECW shit, dude. Because that's like some of the shit I was watching in the 90s, dude. that was fucking punk rock and brutality for me, dude.
That was like the underground grindcore of like wrestling back then.
Oh, dude, straight up.
No fucks given, man. Just
who was it? Balls Mahoney was coming out wearing immolation shirts.
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck it, dude. These dudes are into metal and shit, and they're doing brutal ass stuff, like brutal wrestling. It's badass.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I'm surprised there's not more of a combination of metal with wrestling. I mean, it's similar in the sense of fans, at least in my perception, it would be anyways.
For guys like us, and we've had some guys on that represent, shout out to Tony Weinbender from Fest Wrestling in Tampa, Florida. They were actually, before this whole COVID-19 thing was going down, during WrestleMania weekend, this past weekend, they had a show, Mike, booked. It was Municipal Waste, Obituary, and who else? Nasty Savage. And then, like, with followed by a fucking, or I don't know how exactly, I can't remember how they were working out, but it was a wrestling show with those guys, you know?
Oh, that's
like,
awesome.
and I
Well,
think
wasn't Ronnie Savage a wrestler back in the day or something?
yeah, he was. He was a motherfucker too, from what I've heard. That's awesome.
Great. Well, like at the Heavy MTL, for like three or 4 years maybe in a row, they had a wrestling. I mean, it was just like local wrestlers, I suppose, but they actually had a wrestling ring set up and in between the stages, and people could go watch these guys just fucking go at it and shit. It was pretty cool, actually.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, like no,
cool.
I mean, it wasn't like well-known names, or at least names I didn't know. It was definitely not a. It wasn't put on by WWE or anything like that. It was just local guys, I think. But these guys would fucking throw each other around pretty seriously. It was not. I mean, they weren't. They were rolling around like soccer players,
Yeah, right.
Right? Fuck them soccer players.
Yeah, I've been in Shane's ear about doing that for Full Terror Assault, having some wrestling out there, man.
I've talked to him too about it, man.
Yeah.
And what was the year we played Handsome Prick? So a couple
3
years ago, I was
something.
like, hey man, like, dude, you should do this shit. Like, I know some cats. Like, well, we'll see. I think it was just like maybe they don't really like wrestling, or one of the guys didn't, or something. But it's cool. It draws, man. It draws, especially when you get some good names attached. And Mike, that's what's cool about the indie scene now, is like nowadays you don't have to be in WWE to make money and to make good fucking money. Like the indies are flooded with talent right now, and there is some very fucking creative people. Like Warhorse, a guy that we're all three really big on this show. He's a fucking metal dude, He's like, he comes out to fucking the Four Horsemen by Metallica, and
awesome,
dude, he's all about fucking metal, like old school metal and shit. Yep. And you got guys like Dan Housen, who's basically like the fucking demon from what is it, Sreten?
Nosferatu.
He's like the Exorcist demon or something.
Yeah, the devil from The Exorcist.
Yeah. And he's just, it's a funny kind of comedic gimmick. He even does like the Pee Wee Herman fucking dance on the ring apron, and he's kicking people's ass. But it's entertaining, and there's a lot of these fucking guys and girls out there, man. That's like, it's like, wow, man, because I can go to Chicago, or I can go to Crown Point, which is right in my backyard, and see this shit. And then you know what? A month later, or maybe even a week later, these guys end up being in WWE or AEW or Impact. Yeah, any of these big televised promotions, man. Like, that's how stacked the indie fucking talent is. And you're up in Montreal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, we talked to a lot of motherfuckers up there in Canada, dude. You guys up there are flooded with talent,
Big time. Yeah, there is. There's a guy I knew.
PCO, our homie.
I don't remember his last name, but he had some wrestling thing going. He was one of the top guys in this wrestling division. I don't know, I forget the name of who they were, but they had people coming out, man. I mean, they had, they were wherever they were doing these, they were doing smaller venues, but they were still packing the place. I remember him saying that they had 1,000 people coming out to these fucking wrestling matches. And shit.
Oh yeah. And that's like what we have out here. And dude, I'm telling you, it's like a fucking rock show, man. You go. You party, dude. You hang out with some cool fucking people. Now, granted, there's some twigs in the fucking pile, but but for the most part, there's a lot of really cool people, man. You go, you hang out, you fucking have a few of these, maybe a little RVD 420, Rudy Toot Toot, and just hang out and have a fucking blast, dude. And it reminds me of like that's how I get like my metal fix almost, like if I'm not playing a show or I'm at like a fest or something, I'm going to these wrestling shows and doing my thing with the show with these fucking assholes, and it's a good time, man. We have a great fucking time. It's like a party, man, and it's like that. 2-3 hours, sometimes even longer. It's just over before you know it. It's like so much, and it's so fun. That's how you know you had a fucking blast. You're there for 3-4 hours, but it's like, man, it's over already. Like it's like 20 minutes. Like. One more, please.
It does remind me of
everyone off like 2 hours in.
Yeah, it definitely reminds me of going to fest or playing at fest and stuff too. Like hanging out, you see wrestlers or you see people that are in the industry that you've met before and talked to. So it's like, it's like a reunion of sorts. So it's
Yeah.
really fun. And then, yeah, like Justin said, it's over before you know it. And it sucks. It's like, man, when's the next one? And I wish I could make more with these guys. And sometimes I can't, but it's really fun to go out to these shows and stuff. And Mike, I know Justin mentioned ECW. I think another one you would like that's current times out of New Jersey is GCW, Game Changer Wrestling. They do a lot of hardcore stuff too.
Blood and guts.
Yeah, Blood and Guts, and a lot of guys that come out of there. I think we've met a couple times too. So,
well, there was, maybe you guys could steer me in the right direction. I had seen something. It was like it's almost like backyard. It's all these events that are held out in like fields. I don't know who it is.
It's not ICP though.
Instant Clown Posse.
They have fucking like hundreds of people that go out to these things, and it's just a fucking bloodbath, man. I mean, they've got fucking, some guy was like buried alive almost, like they like. I mean, it's I don't know who it is. I don't know what this is. But
Probably shellac.
And yeah, I mean, these guys do. They fucking throwing each other through windows and fucking glass and like.
Yeah,
wow, that's crazy.
Sounds like GCW or CZW. Like they do that a lot.
Oh yeah,
amazing. Yeah, I do like that shit.
Crazy,
well,
crazy
you know what, I think wrestling has proven one thing, and like metal, it is here to fucking stay. Like, not, you're not going to get rid of it. That's for sure. Not that you should, obviously, but I don't. I think it's made itself a perfect position to continue forward for a very, very, very long time. Yeah,
very wise words. And speaking of continuing forward, I believe our very, very intelligent producer has cooked up a little concoction for us tonight on a very special episode 101. Sreten, take the floor.
Do you want to end the show, or do you want to save this, or do you want to do this?
No, we're going to fucking do it now.
All
I just segued you, and then you're going to ask me. That's not how it works.
Come on, you
I'll edit it. I gave it the gap. I'll edit it.
I'll give you a gate.
Finger him.
All right. So this is 10 questions. It's a competition. Now, traditionally, certain people always win and certain people always lose. So we might keep with tradition. Anyways.
Fucking asshole.
Justin will probably lose. All right. It's a set of 3 questions each. Ready? You each get one for each round.
All
right. It's not too hard. I'll talk you through it. Ready? First round, true and false. I'm going to start with Bodi. Right off the bat, this question is shit. Ready? True or false?
True.
Brutus the Barber Beefcake's original gimmick was Chuck the Human Wood-Chewing Woodchuck.
False.
That is correct.
Oh, I would have said true.
I think I would have been happier if it was wrong, because I'd have been like, dude, I got to go see that now.
Is it made of red?
Wallace.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yes.
True or false?
False.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan's original catchphrase was, "Bitch."
That is false.
I'm super proud of that question because you'd say ho, ho. Whatever.
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah. All right. Mike, ready? True or false? Hulk Hogan was bullied in middle school for being skinny, and he had the nickname Toilet Boleo.
I'm going to say fucking true.
That is not true. That is also false. They were all false because I'm a dirty liar.
Oh, I thought that was true too.
Toilet Boleo?
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I'm going to get a fucking call from Hulk Hogan now. He's like, you motherfucker.
He was actually a really chunky kid. He got bullied because he was fat.
Really?
Is that right?
Yeah.
No
and
shit.
then he got tired of it, and he started running stairs and working out and stuff.
And listen, Eye of the Tiger by Survivor.
He did. By the time he was 17, brother.
24-inch pythons, like Superstar.
Yep.
All right.
72
So it's
pythons.
1-1-0. It's time for the lead. Second round. This is all about finishers.
Yeah.
Each one of you are going to get a wrestler. I'm going to name a bunch of finishing moves.
Yeah.
Just name the one that's their finishing move. But wait till I finish listing them.
All right.
There's also a pattern. Mike. Ready? Bodi, you're first.
All right.
Your wrestler is the Ultimate Warrior. Which of the following is his finish move? Also, I did the research. I know jack shit about wrestling. There's a chance I got some of these wrong.
We'll tell you. Don't worry.
The Ultimate Warrior, ready? His finishing move was the Gorilla Power Slam, the Giraffe Front Axe Kick, the Rhino Charge Tummy Tickle, or the Bear Chest Slam.
That'd be the gorilla press slam.
Congratulations, you get a point.
The tummy
Wallace is going to quit the show.
Yeah.
The tummy
Sure
tickle.
wasn't the tummy tickler?
I like that one.
Me too.
You ready to play tummy sticks?
All right. Wallace, you ready? Your wrestler is Rick Rude. Was his finishing move the Rude Awakening, the Double Knuckle Nut Tap, the Super Heterosexual Kiss of Death, or the DDDT?
I'll take Rude Awakening.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Did you get
Damn.
the pattern, Mike?
I got it.
Yeah, it's always the first one.
I got it.
All right. Mike, your
Wait a
wrestler
minute,
is
wait a
George
minute.
the Animal Steel.
Some up here. He's fucking giving him a hint.
Is his finishing move the Flying Hammerlock, the Mach 3 Turbo Back Slam, the Rack on a Bed of Shoulder Hair, the One Big Fat Hairy Belly to Belly Slam?
The flying fucking arm thing, the first one.
Hammerlock, that is correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And since that was round 2, that was worth 2 points. So now, and for you two, it was worth 1. So it is a tie game. It's 2-2-2.
Oh.
I like.
I feel
like
a
it.
fucking coming on.
All right.
Always finds a way to juice the juice.
Round 3. There's only 4 rounds. Round 3. I'm going to name a wrestling promotion. You're going to tell me which of these wrestlers did not wrestle for that promotion. Each promotion has multiple wrestlers that are and are not. So all you got to do is name one. Bodi, you ready?
Yep.
Your promotion is the WWF.
Ooh.
Which one of these wrestlers did not wrestle for that promotion? Was it Bam Bam Bigelow, Jesse the Body Ventura, Dog the Bounty Hunter, Andre the Giant, Dusty Rhodes, Dolph Square Ass, Randy Macho Man Savage, Triple F, Fuckface Fred?
Which one did not?
Yeah, which of those did not wrestle for the WWF?
A lot of them.
Yeah.
No, you got to name as one.
Dog the Bounty Hunter.
That is correct.
That motherfucker should have, though.
Yeah, he should have.
He looked like DDP.
He'd have been asking people for their hall pass.
You ever seen his wife on South Park when they made fun of him?
Yes.
They were tits, couldn't see her fucking face.
Because Cartman was Dog the Bounty Hunter too.
Is
Right?
he like Michael Hayes' brother or something?
Yeah.
All right, Wallace, ready?
Yes, fire.
Your promotion is the WCW.
Ooh.
Which one of these wrestlers did not wrestle for WCW?
Yes.
Was it Hulk Hogan, Buff Bagwell, Scott Bakula, Trent Milk Tits, Scott the Big Booty Daddy Steiner, your mama, or Diamond Dallas Page?
I'm going to go with Yo Mama.
Yo,
That is
mama.
correct. That is correct.
I'm surprised I got that right because Vince Russo was doing some real fucked up shit at the end. There could have been room. There could have been milk toast tits or whatever you call
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, who knows? Vince Russo and his big bag of gimmicks
Yeah.
and
Okay.
bad story writing.
Mike, you ready? Your
I am.
promotion is the NWA. Which one of these wrestlers did not wrestle for the NWA? Ric Flair, Doug from Accounting, Dusty Rhodes, Dead Tooth Brad Smash'em, Leroy Brown, Austin Idol, or Chris Fuck?
Let's go with Chris Fuck.
That is correct. I almost rolled out of my chair. Congratulations. This game is still tied. Last round. Okay, this is the tricky one. This is where we find out how dirty of a game master I am.
Ooh.
You only have to answer one question. You have 3 seconds to answer it. If you don't answer it, you get no points. And you just have to answer it. Ready, buddy?
Yes.
Personally, what is your favorite finishing move? 3.
The burning hammer.
That is correct.
That was the burning cock, but one.
Yeah, that's you. The burning hurt.
That question was worth 99 points. Congratulations.
Wow.
You have 101 points. 102 points. All right. Wallace, you ready?
Yes.
What is your personal favorite finisher?
Stone Cold Stunner.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Based on my game mathematics, that question was worth 35 points, so you now have 38. So it's 102 to 38. Are you ready, Mike?
What the fuck?
Mike, what is your favorite finishing move? 3.
The lariat.
That is correct. Mike, that question was worth 102 points. So, congratulations. You are the winner of our game. We thank you for playing. The prize is a hollow feeling for doing this show for us.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Thanks for humoring me, guys. That was fun for me.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sticking up my rectum one more time.
Yeah, you're 0 for like 17.
I know I lost the Jake the Snake pop figure because of it. Because of you.
Oh no.
Yep.
That was your
Find
fault.
those
I was like, don't wager that because I'm going to make sure you lose.
He never said any of this shit to me. See, he was keeping kayfabe, you know.
Right?
He's working me all the time.
That's a shoot.
What a piece of shit.
Right?
Well, everybody, this is where we come to the end, where we get our final thoughts in, so to speak. Bodi, let everybody know what's going on in your world and where can they find you and your band at real quick.
Band is Sexual Atrocities. We're supposed to hit the studio in a couple of weeks. We don't know what's going on with that because of the whole situation going down right now. So it's up in the air, but we are still writing. We got a new album coming out. Hit us up on Facebook at the official Sexual Atrocities. You can find us there. Go on there and just leave us your dirty thoughts, please, because we love it all. And we'll probably use it as a song title and or album because we're like that. And yeah, that's about it going on here.
Nice. And last but not least, Sreten, we don't care. You're not doing anything. You know, fucking listen to Dave Matthews. That's about it. Mike, let everybody know where they can find you at. I know this Friday the album drops, your guys' debut album. I'm really pumped to hear the whole record, man, because the 3 songs you guys got out right now are fucking really killer, dude. I love it. Really puts an atmosphere in your head and keeps it's just brutal, dude. It's got that dark atmosphere to it, man. It's great. You got guys like Luke LeMay and Lord Worm guest starring on your fucking album. So let everybody know where they can find you and Akurion at.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. First off, it's supposed to be released this Friday, but now we're running into the same situation. We don't know if it's going to actually be released due to this horseshit that's going on. So we'll obviously keep people posted. You can buy the digital copy though for sure on this Friday on Akurion.bandcamp.com. You can reach me on Facebook, Michael DiSalvo, if you want to. I answer everyone on there. So if somebody wants to reach me through there, but we're hoping actually on Decibel. I think either Thursday. I think it's Thursday. Decibel.com. They're going to play the full album.
Oh yeah,
exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about that. I don't know what time, but that's actually going to happen Thursday, I believe. So yeah. So hopefully, we'll be ready to roll by Friday. But it's a possibility that it might be held back for a bit.
That's all right. I mean, physical copies. Hey, as long as you got digital to download,
That's right.
That's all you fucking need until everything is copacetic and you can send some mailers out.
That's it. Yeah.
So, if they prolong the digital shit, I'm gonna be really pissed, man.
No, we're going to go for that.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for coming on again. It was a blast to talk fucking wrestling with you, brother.
Awesome. Thank you.
Kudos to you and fucking on everything you're doing right now with the band. one of my favorite people to talk to now. And I hope that, maybe you'd want to come back sometime.
I would love to. Anytime.
Nice.
Honestly, great time. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. And for sure, drop me a line anytime, guys.
Fuck yeah. And for everybody out there listening, thank you guys so much. We just reached over 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, which you can hit up at jpdub.com. We're available every Wednesday with new episodes on any podcasting platform. And you can go back and find past episodes like the one with Mike DiSalvo. Hit up the JPDUB podcast, which is our sister podcast for people who are into things outside of pro wrestling, like metal and all kinds of fucking creative shit, arts, entertainment, horror, movies, all that crazy stuff. We fucking love interacting with you guys. We love hearing what you have to say. And if you don't like what we got to say, well, then, who fucking cares? Here's to you. And until next time, everybody, we love you. We got to wet 'em up, wet 'em up,
Wet 'em up.
wet 'em up.
Wet 'em up.
I'm so fucking wet for Mike DiSalvo and Akurion. It's fucking crazy. Fucking buy the album.
You gonna do sex to me?